Today we are watching The Standardized Test, an Educational Tool by Calvin Productions, International Film Bureau, 1961. So pretty similar to the sort of stuff we've been watching in the past. This should be interesting. My girlfriend is a middle school teacher, so she has to give standardized tests. I hear all about them in my daily life. I guess I only know about standardized tests from being a student and having to take standardized tests. I've never really thought about them from the perspective of a teacher or a teaching institute, a school. So this should be interesting, I guess. There's no test at the end of this though, don't worry. Or maybe there is, I don't know. I guess I should say before we start that I actually really enjoyed standardized testing in school. I was one of those kids that did really well on tests even though I didn't study. So I really enjoyed tests. So I don't know if everyone feels the same way as me, but I guess, let's just dive in, right? All right, the University of Kansas City. Interesting. I would not have expected Kansas City, of all people, to be making this, and Calvin Productions Incorporated. Interesting. Oh, geez, we just flipped over all the credits, I guess. That's fine. That wasn't me. That was the actual clip skipping over those credits, so I don't feel so bad.
No tips.
Oh, is this just a classic American playground scene unfolding? Awesome. I miss the days when the playground looked like this. All these kids are wearing the old people clothes of today too. It's hilarious. This kid in a watch in 8th grade. What does an 8th grader need a watch for in, what was this, 1961? Yeah, I don't know. That's the fashion, that's what makes this so interesting. That might be the most interesting part of this whole video, actually. It's just the fashion these kids are wearing. Because these kids, they really do look like they're just old men who haven't grown up yet.
I keep Greg.
Yeah, we had some more audio clips, some more glips. There's some problems with the beginning of this, but I hope the program itself isn't this bad. Even the hair, right? Even the hair of these kids. Kids don't grease their hair back like that anymore.
All of us, children and grown-ups, size up others, and with the jobs to be done.
Okay, we just started narration, but again, the audio just clipped in and out, and I just don't understand what he said.
Every day, each one of us comes in contact with many different kinds of people. We observe them, react to them. We make judgments about them. They make judgments about us.
That's pretty fair. I can't say I disagree with anything that was just said. Dude, that's Car, though? Oh my gosh. See, this is what makes watching these so fun. It's not even the content, but just the period pieces, everything surrounding the people is what's so interesting. The cars, the clothes, oh my gosh. Did women really dress like this to go out, just onto Main Street? Amazing.
This girl is really attractive.
Wow, I like how we're just immediately getting into I don't even know what territory we're getting into, but this is not standardized testing, if you ask me. You know what? I was kind of having the same thoughts too, though, my guy. Don't worry. We're in this boat together.
He's certainly pretty sure of himself.
You know what? She could have said that about me as well. I really do feel like I'm in this situation myself. Again, nothing like 10 seconds of uninterrupted plain music playing and just nothing happening besides these people talking that we can't even hear them speaking, Again, it's just the old editing techniques. It's fantastic. I love watching people in a black and white room just talking to each other, unable to hear them. I know the room isn't black and white, but it's just it's almost like sensory deprivation sometimes watching these. Again, why does this guy look like Richard Nixon, too? Did everyone just look like Richard Nixon back then? Tell me he doesn't. He's looking down. This totally looks like Nixon.
Her recommendations are good. I think she'll fit in okay. If she's interested in the salary we can offer, I'll hire her.
If she's interested in the salary we'll offer her. No duh. What else would she be interested in? It's just, they come up with these like canned statements, like these such like, not like false statements, but statements that are like not true to the scenario perfectly. Like, oh yeah, if she'd like the money that we'd pay her, I'll hire her. Like, that goes without saying, honestly. I still don't know how this is going to connect to the standardized test, but all right, here's my guess. It's going to make the case that like everyone has different thoughts inside their heads, and the only way to like accurately figure out whose thoughts are the best is through standardized testing or something like that. I don't know. It's a weird argument that we're already being led to, but you know what? Let's listen. Let's see if that's the direction we head in. Were these things also normal for doctors to wear, this thing on this guy's head? Like, I feel like I've seen that in, like, shows and stuff, but I don't even know what this thing is for. Is it a light? Is it, it's not a stethoscope. He has that around his neck. So, even this old-timey doctor setup is throwing me.
I'm glad we found Dr. Webster. We think he's the best pediatrician in town.
Like, just like the juxtaposition between what she's saying and like the facial attitude this woman is given, like she still looks like pissed off about something.
He's certainly done wonders for Janie's allergy.
Like she's being so nice to this doctor, but she just looks so angry.
Our evaluations of others are usually informal.
Is that what doctors do? Like, is that also like normal for doctors to just be like playing with kids' hands like that? I don't know. I don't have kids, so I don't know, but I'd be like, hey, can you stop like touching my kid like that? If I was that mom, at least.
Our evaluations of others are usually informal.
Our evaluations of others. Okay, so that's the angle that we're starting with. Our evaluations of others.
But some situations require objective, systematic assessment.
So yeah, sometimes we judge people informally, but we also need a way to judge people formally. That's a funny argument to say that like, no, we need to be able to figure out who's the best, like it can't just be informal. We have to know who's the best. Which I guess is fair in like a school situation, but like just overall in like a social situation, it's a weird thing to be like, we need to determine exactly who's the best. Because again, that suggests that somebody is the best, and like the suggestion that somebody's the best also suggests that somebody's the worst, and I don't know, that's a bad road to kind of go down. But I guess, not bad for standardized testing means, I guess.
In the classroom, informal evaluations are useful. But the teacher also...
Is this also what schools used to look like in the 60s? Like you would just be chilling in front of the chalkboard? I guess I knew that, but like... everyone's just so orderly. I don't know. Like this is not what my school looked like.
Who needs more reliable assessments of each child's abilities and achievements.
Even the fact that the teacher is just writing long sentences in script on the chalkboard. Like, like I dare a teacher to do that today. Like go in front of your class and just write in script this incomprehensible stuff and see what your kids say.
To help her adapt her teaching to each particular group of students.
This woman looks like a teacher, though. I don't know what that means exactly, but like she has that like stern, controlling like aura about her that like I bet she was a good teacher. I hope she's a teacher. I hope she's not just an actress and I'm just like talking out my ass about this.
This 8th grade class in the year ahead faces...
Damn, look at this 8th graders. Oh my gosh, like this kid in the center, he looks like straight up like 35. He looks like James Dean. I guess James Dean was never 35, but...
This is subject matter more varied and complex than they have had before. The nature of the work they will be expected to do will put increased...
Like this blouse and this vest that she's wearing on top, just the fashion alone, man. You could write a whole essay about these kids' fashion.
Hands on their...
This kid, oh my gosh, like this, oh, I wonder where this kid is today. Because he looks like he peaked in middle school.
Ability to read.
If this kid didn't peak in middle school, I can't imagine how cool he must have looked in high school. Again, are these the real clothes that these kids wear, or is this all like actors, and is this all wardrobe, and is this all like constructed? That's what I always forget about, is that this could just be like not accurate at all, and I would have no way of figuring that out. But I like to think that it's accurate, at least, or at least a little accurate. At least this is what they wanted their kids to be wearing. It's not like no kid would ever be caught dead wearing clothes like this. Maybe like this is what their parents forced them to wear and not what they wanted to wear, but I still think this is sort of what kids looked like back then.
Miss Wilcox wonders, is the class vocabulary reading each child? Which of them will require special help in developing the skills he will need? Her observations and classroom quizzes over a period of time.
How old are these kids? I know I always say that, but I guess there's actually kids, so let's think. 61, and they were in 8th grade, so they were probably like 13. So it's been like 60 years, so they're like 70 or 80 now? Dang. So these kids are still alive, maybe. Maybe some of these kids are still alive. Maybe not all of them, though.
But now, at the beginning of the year,
this teacher, I got bad news for the teacher, though, guys.
is the time when such information is most useful to her. Students' permanent cumulative records are helpful.
Dude, the permanent record. I completely forgot about that. See, the permanent record feels like an old-timey thing to threaten a kid with, you know? Like, I feel like by my age, we all kind of knew that the permanent record, like, didn't exist. Or if it did, like, it never affected anything. So it's so funny to hear, like, the permanent record being, like, loitered over these kids still.
They contain a history of...
Like, if you're American, you definitely have been told the phrase, your permanent record. That's so funny. I completely forgot about that.
each child's progress in school, including the results of standardized tests.
Is this it? Is this the permanent record? Oh, please.
The ability of this class to use reading as a learning tool at the 8th grade level has not been assessed.
Their ability to use reading at the 8th grade level has not been assessed. Okay, so is that what we're assessing today? I think so.
A standardized test used under controlled conditions can help Miss Wilcox identify students with reading problems and indicate students who may need additional tests.
I agree with that sentiment that like a standardized test can help you like identify where kids are having shortfalls, but like just regular tests can do that too, or just like paying attention to their behavior in class more often than not can like give you all the information you need. Especially since I have a little bit of an insight into the teacher side of teaching, or the teacher side of a school. Like you become familiar with all your kids, like you understand all of them by the end of a year. So I don't know if you really needed a standardized test to tell you a kid couldn't read.
For a more thorough diagnosis of reading difficulties.
Like, I remember in school sitting in front of my teacher and actually reading a book out loud to them. Like, that was my standardized test for reading. You know, I guess, there were math standardized tests, there were writing standardized tests, but for reading, like, the only thing that really makes sense to do is just to make them read. I don't know. So I'm curious. I'm curious what the actual reading standardized test is. I hope we get to see it. I hope we get to actually like read the questions or read the prompts or whatever and actually get to like use our brains for this too. That would be a lot of fun.
A number of tests are available to her.
The Cooperative Tests Manual of Directions. Dude, look at this test booklet. See, even if you handed a kid in school today this booklet, they wouldn't know what to do with it. Like, it's so complicated.
Miss Wilcox.
There's like an index or a glossary. Like, no way.
Choose from them.
A table of contents, that's what I was thinking.
Miss Wilcox must choose from them the one test which will best meet her objectives.
Dude, and then it's just huge paragraphs. See, I get why this would be like a difficult test if this is what they have to read. Just nothing but plain text for pages and pages. I don't think it is, though.
As a first step in selection, Miss Wilcox defines her objective in testing. Just what is it that she needs to know about her students' reading ability?
All right, what is it that she needs to know about her students' reading ability? Objective of testing, to assess general reading level and vocabulary, comprehension, and speed. Pretty standard, I guess.
Then she can go on to examination of the test itself. Does the cost fit the school budget?
What a weird first bullet point. I don't know how much the cost would even be. Practical considerations, cost. If the kid already has a book, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just make them read a book and, like, see if they can read it or not. I don't know. Like, it seems like a free test to me.
Can she give the test conveniently?
Time required to administer. I guess that's fair. Like, how long does it take one kid to read like one chapter and then multiply that by like a whole classroom of kids? You'll probably be there for like a week doing this test.
In the 50-minute class period.
Which is fair, which is exactly what my teachers did in school.
Can she score the test by hand?
Ease of scoring, I like that one. Like, that one's for the teacher, you know? Like, is it actually easy for me to do any of that? I really like that one.
And by herself. No special equipment or outside help will be available to her. Are equivalent forms available in case retest?
Alternate forms? Interesting. Well, you know, for my sort of test, you just get them a different book, you know, if it seems like they memorized it or something. So, I don't know. I think it's foolproof, my test. And it's easy. You don't even have to score them. You just watch them. It might take a little bit more time. Maybe that's the trade-off. Okay.
Technical considerations are important to intelligent selection use of tests.
Geez, we just lost a little bit more audio on that one, but I think it's fine. I think we can just read what's happening.
Of these, the most important are reliability, validity, and the norming group.
The norm group? I kind of need an explanation for this one. The other two made sense. Technical considerations, reliability, validity, and then norm group. I don't know. That one doesn't seem like it fits with the others.
How accurate is the measurement?
Is this the teacher? Is he just... No, this gotta be a doctor. He's like measuring this kid's height. Imagine that's part of your reading test. How tall are you? Reliability, like what?
We can measure John's height with a variety of devices.
Oh, okay. So we're just taking an example. All right. We're not testing kids' reading skills, reading comprehension based on their height. I think I would have done well on that test too, though.
Some are more accurate than others.
Are they more accurate than others? I mean, I guess those are all just rulers. Shouldn't they be exactly the same?
Also be aware that there are possible errors in the various tests that we use in the classroom. Reliability refers to the accuracy of the measurement.
Reliability refers to the accuracy of the measurement. I mean, I guess. You could also just use the word accurate too, and then how would you describe it, you know? Dude, the freaking cameras zoom in on this. Like, that's so funny that they had to pre-plan this whole shot so that they can zoom in on the tape dangling over the little weight make taker thing. I don't know what these things are called. I know what those things are too. Those are in my doctor's office.
John is the tallest student in his class. Will he also be found to be the brightest student?
You know what? My guess is yes. I have a sneaking suspicion that height and intelligence are directly related. But maybe I'm just biased.
Let's look at their grade averages.
Doesn't it just make sense? Like, if you're bigger than everyone, like, shouldn't your brain cavity be bigger too? So shouldn't you have a bigger brain proportionally? I just, I'm 6'6", so like, I like the idea that tall people are just immediately considered smarter than everyone.
Measurement of height cannot be used to make a valid prediction of success as a student.
Damn, you hear that? It's not a valid test for a kid's intelligence. Womp womp. I guess I'm still a dumbass.
This can be done only with an instrument which is valid for the purpose of measuring scholastic aptitude.
Scholastic aptitude, I like that.
In considering validity, it is necessary to ask whether the test actually measures what it professes to measure.
I still have hope for this kid. I still think he might be the smartest anyway.
The norming group is a comparison group. It is the
norm group, is that like the control? I like how it's just norm. Like, that seems a little mean to call him norm. Like, not even normal, just norm.
Basis for interpreting test scores.
Dude, this looks exactly like my middle school too. That's so funny. I guess every American middle school probably looks like that, made out of bricks or something, but it's just it's just fun. Some things don't change. I guess my middle school was probably built before this thing was even filmed, so I guess that's fair.
Say that a particular test has been standardized on a group of students predominantly urban, low income, foreign population, male.
Oh, okay, so this is hypothetical. This is not actually the norm group. This is like, all right, say this is who we actually base our test on. Okay, get it. I got it. For a second, I thought they were trying to say that this was the norm group. Like, the only people we're comparing your test scores against are urban, low-income, foreign male students, you know? Like, what a very non-norm group, you know? Like, what a bizarre group. But I guess this is just a hypothetical. Okay. That's so funny that they included foreign population in this. You know, like, I guess immigrants were just a huge part of American culture, like, all the way back then especially. Probably even more so than now. It's interesting that they included foreign. Like, as if that was a totally normal thing, which I guess it was, but it's interesting. Dude, this also looks like my first grade school. That's so funny.
The group of students to be tested is suburban, middle income level.
Dude, Anglo-Saxon, that's so that's so funny.
With Anglo-Saxon background.
Anglo-Saxon background. See, I used to think people said this as like a joke, you know, Anglo-Saxon background. White, just say white. Like, but the funny part about Anglo-Saxon is that it's not even white, it's like specific type of white, you know, like I, as like an Irish American, would not have been considered Anglo-Saxon. I would have been Celtic or whatever. Catholic really is the problem, but like, it's just so funny, like, what a specific ethno group within the U.S., the Anglo-Saxon kind.
And with boys and girls equally represented.
I guess that's nice that they have boys and girls there, though. It's just, I don't know, I'm sidetracked by the Anglo-Saxon thing now. Like, they could have just said white kids, but specifically white kids from England. Not Irish white kids, or Italian white kids, or even German white kids. Maybe German white kids would count as Anglo-Saxon, because the Anglos and the Saxons did come from Germany. That's a good question. Who exactly counts as Anglo-Saxon? And again, what a weird phrase to be using to describe children.
A test with such a norming group would not be suitable for use with this group of students.
That's fair. That's a good, you know what? I'm glad that we're learning this, that they would not be comparing these two groups.
Since the two should have comparable characteristics.
I like for the norm group, they said male, but on the test group, they said boys and girls. Like, they didn't say males and females, they said boys and girls. Like, I don't know, the difference of language. Like, they could have said both. I don't know. It's just funny.
These technical considerations affect the usefulness of an instrument for...
All right, let's read the technical considerations. Reliability, how accurate is the measurement? Validity, for what purpose is the test appropriate? Norm group, is the norm group comparable to the class to be tested?
For particular groups of students. Acceptable criteria for reliability, validity, and norm groups must be applied in test selection. It is to...
Just like another 5 seconds of nothing happening but music playing. I guess that's everyone in class writing down the notes or something.
The teacher's advantage to secure professional...
Was this supposed to be shown in a school? I guess, right? Like, it doesn't make sense for this to be shown, like, anywhere else. Was this being shown to teachers or students? Because it doesn't make sense to be showing students stuff on testing. I guess it does. I guess it makes sense to be showing kids this stuff. Like, does it? Like, would you show a student the program on standardized testing? I don't know. I guess that's the only sort of people who would have been forced to watch this, and teachers. So I guess students probably were watching this.
Advice whenever possible. However, a teacher does not have to be a measurement specialist to put these criteria to use in selecting an appropriate test. Each standardized test is accompanied by a manual giving
And look at okay, so this is the manual, not the standardized test. So, see, I said it looked a little complicated for a test.
Detailed information about the test.
Dude, I love that she has one of these Bic pens. Is that a Bic pen? I hope it is. It's just like, that's the same. Do I have one? Oh, I don't think I have one on me. Oh, it's, you know what? I probably could find one, but I think we all know these pens by now.
Reviews of tests and reports on their use are printed in professional journals and bulletins. An excellent source of professional critiques of individual tests.
Dude, look at all her standardized testing brochures. Is this really what a teacher would do, is like decide on how to give standardized tests? Like, would they have all these catalogs, or I guess they're manuals, I don't know.
Burroughs Mental Measurement Yearbook. With these aids to selection, Miss Wilcox chooses the test which will best indicate each student's ability to handle the increased demands on his reading skills.
Ah, dang, they referred to the students as all male. That's funny. His reading skills, not her reading skills. Which is interesting because these classes do seem like perfectly, you know, boy, female, or male, female, you know, like it doesn't seem like there is any difference. But It's the 60s still, so who knows? Dang, these kids probably had like woodshop too. I never had woodshop and I always wanted it, so I'm already jealous of these kids' education.
Before giving the test, Miss Wilcox studies the directions in the manual to be sure she understands them. It is essential to follow the standard procedure.
Dude, shout out to Miss Wilcox for putting in the extra effort and studying the test manual. Good for her. Good for you, Miss Wilcox. I bet she was a good teacher. She looks a little strict, though, I'll be honest.
Miss Wilcox takes the test herself in order to become thoroughly familiar with it. She allows herself exactly the time specified.
Dude, again, is she even a teacher or is she just an actor? I don't even know. See, I gotta stop falling for this sort of stuff.
Specified. Test taking may also be used as a step in choosing a test.
I have to believe she's a teacher. It just like doesn't make sense to watch this if I don't believe she's a teacher.
In announcing the test, Miss Wilcox tries to...
Dang, look at these pants, man. I know I gotta stop commenting on everyone's clothes, but like look at the high-waisted, like this is a good look right here. Whatever happened to clothes like this? And the vest and the white shirt, and she looks gunned out. She looks like she goes to the gym or something too. I guess that's just people from this era, right? Life was just harder. She probably spends all summer like working on the farm or something.
Calm any fears her class may have about test taking.
You know, this year, you're going to be doing more reading.
What's so funny is that there's probably a whole world of like feminine coded aspects of fashion that I'm not picking up on, you know? Like I haven't said a thing about these girls' hair or their like jewelry or anything because I don't perceive that as much as like clothes and stuff, but I bet you could dissect these girls' hairstyles too, and I bet it would be equally as interesting.
Than you've ever had to do before. And you're going to be reading for different purposes too, because you'll be doing independent research and individual projects. This year, we're going to be studying Western civilization.
Western civilization in 8th grade, that's what they're learning about. In you know what? I'm curious. Like in 8th grade, I still think I had one teacher. No, I had different teachers actually in 8th grade. So if the same is true here, then she's probably like only their history teacher or something. She's not also their math and science and English teacher. But I guess she's administering a reading test also. So I don't know. I can't tell. Like, do these students have other teachers or is she their one teacher that they spend all day with? I don't know. In 8th grade, I didn't have just one teacher, but in 7th grade, I think I did just have one teacher.
And you will be using reference books and all kinds of resources.
No, I had different teachers in 7th grade too. In 6th grade, that's when I had one teacher still, I think.
Oh?
Not that any of you care, but I'm trying to figure it out in my head so that I can, apply it to what I'm watching.
Well, naturally, this is going to be more difficult for some of you.
Dang, she had a little vocal flub too. That's so funny. Just like this was just a one take. Like they're not going to film it again. They're just going to leave in whatever mistakes she makes. That's old timey production for you.
It would be very helpful to us if we knew what kind of help each of you is going to need. So in order to learn more about that, I plan to give you a test which has been used for exactly this same purpose by many other 8th grade classes similar to ours.
Students should understand the purpose of testing and the...
Just look at these kids. I did want to spend a moment to look at these kids some more. Well, not in a weird way. Just like look at their fashion. I guess it's pretty standard. Like this kid in the middle, I could wear that shirt. I don't know what color it is, but I bet like that's a perfectly normal shirt for somebody like me to wear. But then the girls are wearing like dresses and stuff. I don't know. It's just interesting. I really do wonder if this is like normal student attire in a school like this, or if this is like purely constructed by the media production company.
Nature of the test.
What should we study to get ready for this test?
Dang, this kid looks rough though. I don't want to make fun of this kid or anything, but it's funny that people in the 60s looked like this.
But George, this really isn't the kind of a test that you can study for. And you'll not be graded on it in the same way as you are on our regular class tests and quizzes. Your scores...
Wait, is it Miss Wilcox or Mrs. Wilcox? I'm getting curious.
...will be used to help us plan this year's work, not to find out if someone is passing or failing.
What kind of questions are you going to ask us?
All of the questions...
That was just such a funny insert shot. They didn't film that like chronologically. They just filmed, they got a shot. They were like, eventually, like, just ask this question and we'll put it in the right place in the video later. It's just like very much an insert shot.
Our objective questions. This is a printed test, but we'll talk more about that just before you take it. I plan to give it tomorrow during our regular class period, so it's very important that you all be here. You'll need to bring with you to class a good sharp pencil, but I'll have the other things that you need.
A good sharp pencil is all you need. So that's so funny because I feel like you can roll up to school nowadays without a pencil and like your teacher will just have like 1,000 for you. Like you don't even need a pencil nowadays. Dude, look at all the books these kids have too. Like I never got any books in school. Like so many books. Do they have backpacks? How are they carrying all this stuff? No, they don't have backpacks. They're just carrying it with their hands. That's crazy.
Next day, everything is ready and waiting before the students arrive.
Is she making it colder?
Room comfort is provided for.
Room comfort is provided for. What a weird little detail, I guess. Like, okay, they're taking a test. Let's turn it down a notch. What's the room comfort? Can I understand what temperature is ideal for standardized testing?
Seats are spaced apart.
What's so funny about this like whole building is like these cinder block like walls. Like that's what every American school looks like still. Like these block walls that have been painted over. It's so funny. This is such a similar school to what I went to. It's just, oh man. Like there would be a smart board instead of a chalkboard, but like pretty much identical. Except for these desks. We never had desks like this though. That's honestly like the main difference in all these classrooms, the desks.
Any distraction that might affect test results should be eliminated.
Dude, this little dial, privacy normal call-in, do they actually have these for like the speakers? That just seems like so extra,
Please print your name on the line at the left side of the answer sheet. Then fill in the other items of information that are called for.
Like having a classroom with these desks just seems so chaotic. Like they can all move. It seems like these shots of all the students, it seems like they're just in like a big blob. Like they're not organized into rows or anything. It's just like a free-for-all. I don't know if that's the case, but like it looks like there's no organization here.
Then fill in the other items of information that are called for.
Again, this could all just be fake anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But I'm just trying to think, like, is this actually what classrooms were like?
Read the directions on both the answer sheet and the cover of the booklet. But do not write on the booklet and do not open the booklet.
This is a little fun, getting to see what she actually has to read, because I always wondered about that. But I guess it is just the exact words that she's saying.
To the test itself until I tell you to do so. In taking this test,
Miss Wilcox follows the directions in
Miss Wilcox, okay.
the test manual to the letter.
Dang.
To ensure that the test is given under standard conditions. She answers the students' questions now, since according to the directions, no questions may be asked after the test begins.
Let me show you on the board. Here are 5 pairs of lines. If you think the third
She makes certain that...
What are we about a test right here? This is like, I thought this was a reading test, and now she's drawing lines on the board. Like, what are we testing here?
Everyone understands how to mark the answer sheets.
Oh, she's just teaching them how to fill in Scantrons? That's so funny. Like, oh man, I guess they still do that. I guess every single time I take a test, the teacher had to tell you how to fill in the Scantron. It's just, I guess that's another aspect of school that I like completely forgot until just now, is the teacher reminding everyone every time how to fill in the sheet, how to fill in the Scantron. That's just, that's funny. I wonder if they were Scantrons back then, or if that was just like a new word for them.
Do you understand? Are there any other questions? Remember, you are not expected to answer all the questions in any part within the time limit, but
you're not expected to answer all the questions in any part? I don't understand.
If you should finish before time is called, go on to the next part.
So Interesting. So you can just keep going. Because I remember in standardized tests, like you had to stop. Like you couldn't just keep going. Like if you get like halfway through and the page says stop, you could not like keep reading on. So that's interesting that it's not the case here. I guess, but I guess I understand why you should not keep going if it's a standardized test so that everyone gets the same amount of time or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if that's all that important.
If you finish the last part before time is called, you may go back and work on any earlier part. Do not start until I tell you to begin.
Miss Wilcox allows exactly the time specified for the test.
Ready? Begin.
Okay, so this is what the test looked like. This is what I wanted to see. So this is so weird. So what are these questions? Because it looks like, honestly, multiple choice. Obviously, they're doing a Scantron, so I guess it's multiple choice. But is it like math? What? Like I can't even see what these questions are. Right? Like they're so small. There's not like huge questions. It could only be like really simple questions. Please show us what they're actually answering. Again, this could not even be real. This is probably not real. This is probably not even a real test that they're giving. So I shouldn't be believing it, but like, just show me. Just show me what it is anyway. I don't care.
Any deviation in the standard testing procedure may alter the results and make them useless or misleading for the intended purpose. Miss Wilcox watches for anything out of
You
the
just took that girl's pencil? Like, why?
ordinary. Billy is not well, and Miss Wilcox decides it would be best to send him to the school nurse. Later on, she will give him the alternate form.
Dude, I feel like a teacher would never like put their hand on your forehead to see if you were hot to go to the nurse nowadays. Like that is, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but like I wouldn't do that.
Form of the test. No test is infallible, and no single test can give a complete picture of a student.
At least they admitted that. Like, that is nice. You know, sometimes in these old programs, they're just so gung-ho about everything they're doing that they could say, like, oh, this test will tell you everything you need to know. But I'm glad they were able to recognize that, like, these tests are not comprehensive, you know, personality studies or anything. Like, they are just very simple standardized tests.
Tests should be used carefully and objectively, and with understanding of what they can and cannot do. In scoring, as in other steps in testing, it is essential to follow the standard procedure.
That's so funny. So they're still doing like Scantron, or like they're still filling in the blanks, but she's still grading it by hand. That's funny. Because Scantrons, you just put in a machine and they just tell you how many answers they got right or wrong. But this, like, I thought that was the point. I thought that was like the increased efficiency of the Scantron. It's that you can just scan it. But it's just funny that they're doing the same thing, but just grading it by hand anyway.
Scoring may seem like a routine
It's like, why did they even need to fully fill in those lines if you're just going to grade it by hand anyway?
clerical chore, but it must be done carefully and accurately.
Oh man, is this the sheet? Oh, that's interesting actually. So her grading rubric is a piece of paper with a bunch of holes in it, and the holes are the right answers. So you cover up the test and you look at the holes and you see if the holes are filled by the student, and then you know if they got it right or wrong. That's so funny. That's something that I did not know about for sure before watching this.
Carefully and accurately, and with professional attention.
Whoa, that is true. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's so funny because that's such a simple piece of technology, you know? Like it really is, but I'm just so interested. That like I can't believe they used to do it like that. That's so funny. I don't know, I actually learned something from this now.
Miss Wilcox will rescore the tests to be sure she has not made any mistakes.
Yeah, that's so funny. You can see this kid got a few things wrong. Again, I don't know if this is a kid actually taking this test or if this is just like an example or whatever, but like, yeah, I guess it's funny how they made the holes circle, but they made the thing that you fill in just a line, you know? Like, don't you think it would make sense to also make the answer bubbles a circle so that they would just fill them all perfectly? I don't know. It just, it seems like this could have been done even better. That's so funny though. I love that answer sheet. It also makes it hard to cheat because if you steal that answer sheet, like, I mean, I guess you could remember like the order everything was in, but like, I don't know. Without the test also, like, you can't really figure out anything. That's just, I don't know, that's funny.
Every test has a stated formula for finding the raw scores. It may be just the right answers.
Hang on, so what's she writing? Vocab, attempted 45 right? Okay.
Or the rights minus the wrongs, or the rights minus a fraction of the wrongs.
Hang on, what? You would take a fraction of the wrongs and you would subtract that? See, that's so funny because, yeah, in my head, you just, however many you get right out of the number of questions there were, that's your test score. But I guess we have this whole equation. So the number that you get right is subtracted by the number that you got wrong divided by 4. That seems like not a really great way of doing this. Like, you might as well just say how many you got right, how many you got wrong. I don't know.
For this test, the formula is the rights minus 1/4 of the wrongs.
Like, how weird? Like, why? I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
The fraction is a correction for guessing.
It is a correction for guessing? But that's so weird. It's a correction for guessing? Like, I just don't get how that makes any sense. Like, if somebody just guessed everything and you subtracted, I guess you would expect them to get 1/4 of the things right if they guessed on everything. So you're trying to subtract the 1/4 of the things that they got wrong. That's just weird. I don't know. I just don't get that part.
If Mary answers...
Like, it seems so much simpler just to do, like, how many out of 100 or how many out of the total questions that you got. I don't know.
Mary answers a total of 45 items, and 37 responses were correct and 8 were wrong, her raw score is 35.
Dang, so they're subtracting the wrongs? Maybe that's why, because you wouldn't subtract them. Like, in my head, you would just get, like, 37 out of 45. But in this, you would actually subtract them? That's so messed up. I don't know. I guess that is for guessing, so you do have to answer them all. But if you're guessing, I don't know. That's so funny. I guess this is the inside look that, like, you don't get as a student, I guess.
Raw scores are next converted to scaled scores.
See, I thought that would have been a scaled score because you're already doing math to it, but whatever, that's just me.
Scaled scores are...
Speed, I like how they had speed. See, that was a thing. I was always the first kid to finish my tests, and I always thought that mattered a lot. And I'm glad to see that it at least mattered a little once upon a time. Speed, like, how dumb, I don't know. It's just like, how do you even gauge that? Like, do you write down, like, how long it took each kid to take the test? Like,
made to interpretation of test results. They put this class and the national norm group on a common scale and make it possible to perform various arithmetic computations which are necessary in interpretation. You scaled...
Dude, let's look at these names real quick. Alan Jane, or Jane Allen, Robert Bailey, Martha Daniels, Joseph Decker, John Doherty. Dude, oh man, such classic Anglo-Saxon names we're reading right now. This is like Anglo-Saxon core, these names. Oh, who did the best? Who did the best though? Martha? Martha did the best. Good for you, Martha.
Miss Wilcox ranks her class in order, first for vocabulary. She
Dang, the boys actually did, like, notably worse than the girls, too. That's funny.
Determines the range of scores from highest to lowest.
Whoa, that was a weird transition, too. Oh, so they ranked him first. Okay, wow, that's so funny. So they had the scale score. So Martha did do the best out of everyone. She got a 100. Good for Martha. And then Jerry, what's his last name? I can't see it. Jerry Hill, maybe. He got a 44. Alfred got a freaking 43. George, oh, we were rooting for George, weren't we? Oh no, George was the kid who raised his hand or something. And then Bernice. Again, none of this is probably even real, right? Like, I keep wasting time thinking that this is all, like, perfectly accurate, but it could just be made up. Probably is. I'm probably just wasting my time. I just think it's interesting. No, you know what? I changed my mind. I think it's all accurate. I think this is all real.
The number of students who scored above this point is equal to the number who scored below it. She also determines the mean score, the arithmetic average of all scores. Converting scale scores to percentile ranks, following directions given in the manual, makes it...
Dang, so I thought Martha did, like, really well. I thought she got, like, a 100, but I guess she only got a 74. That's pretty rough. I mean, I guess it's not that sort of test, so it doesn't matter, but, like, so none of these kids did that well, I guess.
Possible for Miss Wilcox to compare her class with the norm group. Alfred's score is 43. He has a percentile rank of 66.
What a weird last name for Alfred, though. Wyandotte? Like, that's the one... like, everything else is perfectly normal. Daniels, Martha, Hall, Jerry, Alan, George, Perry, Bernice. Wyandotte? Like, was that really a normal name back then?
This means that he did better on the test than 66% of the students in the norm group. Other tests may use different ways of converting and using scores.
This is an interesting graph now. Grade equivalence. So, you know what? I'm just gonna let him explain it to me because I don't want to figure it out myself.
Grade equivalents are sometimes used. A relatively high score for a 7th grade student may be a relatively low score for an 8th grade student. Scores can be charted graphically to show...
Dude, I love this little graph too with the little pictures of the kids. That's just so funny. And I like how it is kind of like a bell curve. Again, I wonder if this is like real data, you know? Like, is this a classroom or like a school's like report card? Oh man, and the little kid pictures for the graph. It's just so funny. I hope this is actually like what the teacher would receive too. Just these pictures of little kids stacked on top of each other. They look like freaking pygmies from Pocket God.
Most of the scores are grouped around the mean, with fewer scores toward the high and low ends. Scores of a single small class would not show a smooth distribution and may not show a normal distribution. If Miss Wilcox could test and chart enough cases, the curve would smooth out into a normal distribution.
See, that's so funny that they filled it in with all these other kids, these other Anglo-Saxon kids by the look of it, and it's still not like a perfect normal distribution. I guess it fits it more, but it's just like they had all the power in their hands to make this fit the curve, and they still couldn't make it fit perfectly.
If the distribution had looked like this...
Dude, I love that transition, though. That wipe transition. Oh, so nice.
Miss Wilcox would know that for some reason this test was not suitable for her group.
Or Miss Wilcox is just a really good teacher. If her class looked like this, where all her students are at the top, I mean, maybe it's just too easy of a test, but maybe she's just a really good teacher, you know? Sometimes that's just the case.
It might have been too easy. Or she might have a large number of superior students.
She might just have a large number of superior students. I wonder what a superior student is.
In comparison to the norm group.
I guess you could just have like more wealthy students or something. That's like the superiority really, is like she could just have a class full of kids that have like good home lives. You know, sometimes that's the difference.
A distribution like this might indicate too difficult a test, or an unusually large number of slow students.
An unusually large number of slow students. You know, it's nice that they like put it in that sort of framing still. Like they were still kind of being polite. Like I feel like there's a chance they would have just said like dumb students, but I'm glad they just called them slow, you know? Like that's growth mindset for you.
Miss Wilcox can determine where her class stands in relation to 8th grade classes in general by comparing them to the national distribution.
See, if this is Miss Wilcox's score, I think she's a really good teacher. She has most in the normal, but she has more towards the better side of it and fewer towards the worse side of it. So, again, this could all be made up, but I'm trying to judge based on what I'm seeing.
The norm is a reference point for comparison, not a standard of performance. Local norms can be built up over a period of time as groups of students are given the same test. This offers greater assurance that the class is being compared to a really comparable group. Comparing the class to the group from which it is drawn allows it, in effect, to be compared to itself. Each of these individual scores really represents a possible range of scores, since it is not possible to eliminate all sources of error in the test and in the testing procedure.
I'm still laughing over these little kid pictures. Their heads are so big. It's just so funny. I guess, you know, this is how you communicate to kids that they're being counted though, right? Like I bet a kid would understand this, and that's the point.
The standard error for this test is stated in the manual to be 3. With a score of 47 and a standard error of 3, we would be correct 2/3 of the time in saying that the student's true score falls between 44 and 50. From the test results, Miss Wilcox expects that this group of students, a large part of the class, will have no particular difficulty with regular classwork. Even so, as she works with these students through
What about the smart kids? They're gonna have problems? I don't know why you would single out the middle kids as having no problems.
the year, Miss Wilcox will be alert to catch any reading problems that
You know what? This is how I know this is inaccurate, because no kid would just hang out with 2 books open taking notes. Like, if kids used to do this, man, they don't do it anymore.
may appear. This group can be expected to handle more advanced reading material.
Oh, okay, so we are talking about the smarter kids now. Good.
In
This is just, I felt like I was always in this sort of group in school.
projects.
I was always being given, like, more books to read and stuff than all the other kids. And look how I turned out.
Superior students deserve special provisions for work that will challenge them. But even the superior student may require help in developing particular reading skills.
See, I just disagree with calling them superior students, though. Like, there is something wrong with that, like superiority. Like, I mean, this is the 60s, so there is a big change happening to the classrooms right around now that would make the superiority language kind of not so cool, I guess. But maybe not. This is early 60s, not late 60s, so maybe that hasn't happened yet.
In the low-scoring group, a variety of factors leading to a low score may be at work. Charles scored low, but on
Dude, these reference books, are you kidding me? Not a single kid in this day and age would ever look at these books.
the basis of his recorded past
He's
performance.
really gonna read this books as what? Is this like an encyclopedia or something? Do they have these in classrooms too? Because that's wild.
Performance and scholastic aptitude, Miss
Scholastic aptitude.
Wilcox feels that this is about what he could be expected to achieve. She helps him find reading material that is suited to his capacity, age, and level of maturity.
Oh, what freaking library is there? Like, what are these? Are these like law textbooks? These have to be like an encyclopedia or something.
Like all students, Charles needs a satisfactory
Reference? What do 8th graders need books like this for reference for? Are they doing like scientific research?
school experience.
Are they getting themselves out of court or something? This is like an insane array of books for an 8th grade classroom. Like, I can't imagine what they're in these books. It has to be just an encyclopedia. Which is funny because that's exactly what I would have liked to read in school too, is just the encyclopedia.
School experience and incentive to develop up to his potential. Helen scored high on vocabulary and low on reading comprehension. Additionally,
See, how do you do that? How do you score high in vocabulary but low in reading comprehension? That just like doesn't make sense. But I guess that's what kids do. They just don't make any sense. Again, that could not even be true for all I know. That could just be like completely made up.
testing is indicated to locate possible causes and help Miss Wilcox plan remedial work for her. Observations of John in class and information about him in
Dang, did people really put pencils behind their ear like this too? I feel like that's also something that you just see in like cartoons as like a kid in a classroom, but I can't imagine anyone in my school having done that. Like that's, I don't know, you just get made fun of instantly for doing something like that.
his cumulative record suggests that his poor reading performance may be due to problems outside the classroom.
See, that's facts though, is that like more often than not, like the issues students are having are just like unstable home lives or something. Like these kids can't get any sleep or something, and like that is actually what takes them down. Like more often than not, all students are capable of doing the stuff that you give them. I know it seems hard at the time, but once you're an adult and you look back on the stuff you had to do in 8th grade, you'll be like, oh yeah, that was pretty simple actually. I don't know why I wasn't able to get it. But it's because kids have other problems besides learning school. Like they have home issues. They have, an inability to get sleep at night for some reason. They have no food at home maybe, and they just can't concentrate. There are other things, but it's just, I'm glad that they're addressing that as well. It's good to know that the education system has always had this understanding of the needs of students. It has never been able to fully rise to meet them, but, understanding them and trying to address them is the very first step and the most important step, I'd say.
Miss Wilcox feels that he needs more concentrated assistance than she can give.
Dude, we all had that one kid who just put his head down in class and never picked it up.
She refers John to the school guidance counselor for specialized attention.
See, this is something that I feel like has completely disappeared. Like, I had a guidance counselor in school, but I never had to interact with them ever. Like, I don't think they knew my name or what classes I took or anything. So it seems so bizarre to me that, like, students did used to have, like, relationships with their guidance counselor. It's just, I mean, I guess it's nice. I guess that's the point of the job or the position, but, like, it's funny. It's funny that, like, we don't really do that anymore, at least not in my school.
And help.
I guess the guidance counselor might be there to provide guidance to the kids who needed it, because I don't ever think I really needed guidance anyway, so maybe there were kids who had way more interaction with the counselor than I did. Shout out to Miss Bonatatabis. I still remember you.
Miss Wilcox keeps a record of her students' scores for her own use and guidance through the coming school year. Test results
through the coming school year. So is this like what they're doing, like first day of classes or something? Because that would make sense. You know what? I do remember being given, like, what was it, like baseline or standard tests? What was it? What were they called? Like, not standardized tests, but like during school, we started taking tests at the very beginning of the year to like establish our baselines. I do remember doing that now, but only starting in like 9th grade or something.
Are also entered in each student's record for use by other school personnel.
It was a really useless test, though, because it was just pretty much the final of the class that you had to take at the beginning to just assure the teacher that you didn't actually know anything beforehand. You know, I don't know. I don't know if those tests actually mattered at all.
Careful.
Oh, look at this map. I wish we could get a close-up of this map, but I don't think we will.
Selection, interpretation.
See, even this, though, you don't get maps in classrooms anymore like you used to. This is my big gripe with the modern classroom. It's like there's no maps. Like, kids don't learn geography at all. Like, in school, I did not have a geography class. I did not have geography lessons. We didn't even learn about geography in, like, history class or anything. So it is actually really cool to see that kids did used to get to learn from maps, you know? There is this, like, prevailing understanding about Americans that they don't get geography, and I don't think that's entirely wrong, because I went through the entire educational system without ever being shown or explained a map, you know? Like, I had personal interest in maps, so obviously I went my own direction, but most kids, you know, aren't going to, you know, buy an atlas as a 13-year-old and read every page of it, you know? So this is like their only exposure to like what the world actually looks like. It's cool. It's good that they used to do this. It's bad that we don't do this anymore, though.
And use of a suitable standardized...
I mean, maybe they do. I'm not in school anymore, but like in my school experience, we had 0 map play.
Test has made it possible for Miss Wilcox to assess each of her students' ability to use reading as a learning tool. The knowledge she has gained makes it possible for her to tailor the instructional
this kid in the center, I don't know. I want to know where he is now. He just seems like he has a story.
program to fit the students.
Oh man, this kid, he's like young Sheldon. Oh man, I gotta stop saying stuff like this.
The standardized test is a technical tool which every teacher should understand and be competent.
It's not good commentary just to make fun of kids, you know, but it's like, I don't know, they do look funny.
To use.
Dude, this kid's in love with Miss Wilcox, and you know what? Me too. Oh, that's the end? Wow. Okay, oh, I forgot this was the University of Kansas City School of Education. That's so funny. So that was interesting. I liked seeing it from the teacher's perspective because I've, again, only ever taken tests from the student perspective. We never got to see what the tests actually were, but I guess that's fair. This isn't really about a specific standardized test. It's just about like the concept of standardized testing, which is just kind of funny considering like I don't know, during this time, this is like introducing people to standardized testing. You know, like the little subtitle, an educational tool, is it's all meant to convince you that like a standardized test is like a real and like a good thing. Which whereas I in school was just always forced to take standardized testing, you know, I had to do all the regents and whatever. Like it never seemed like a choice, and it never seemed like something that wasn't always the case. You know, whenever I took a standardized test to like the regents, it felt like kids had been being forced to do that for like 100 years. Obviously, I know that's not the case. Especially now, that's not the case. You know, I can see that. But it's just funny. It's funny to think that like there was a time when tests weren't all that standardized, and then there was a movement towards standardization, and people needed to produce media like this in order to convince students and maybe even teachers to, you know, go through with it. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's interesting that we ever needed an educational program to explain standardized testing to us. You know, I don't know, it feels like so core to the ethos of school in general, right? Like it feels like you can't have a school without standardized testing. Maybe that's just me though. Maybe there are ways of educating people without giving them standardized testing. But how do you evaluate people? See, that's the thing. It's like there's no way to fairly evaluate everyone without a standardized test, I guess. So I'm not against standardized testing. I feel like a lot of people are going to be against it for some reason, and I imagine those are the people who did poorly on the standardized tests. But I guess this convinced me that there is sort of the need for standardized testing, and it's not so bad, I guess. Maybe not in this form anyway. In a very interesting look into the American classroom in the 60s as well. Like, I don't know if any of this is real or not, but if there's even a shred of truth to like this classroom environment, it was interesting. It's interesting to see what people were like back then. Lucky for you guys, there's no standardized test this time around. Maybe next time there will be, but yeah, you guys get off easy this time. Saved by the bell, I guess. Yeah, so that's about it. If you like what I do here and you would like to help support this channel, all you need to do is go to Internet Archive and donate to them. Don't donate to me, just go to the link in the description and donate to the Internet Archive. That will make me happy as can be. And with that, I think that's it. I think that's standardized testing.